What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mountains and Valleys podcast. I am your host, Andrew Hilston, and I am so excited that you guys are back listening. I hope you guys enjoyed episode 13 as much as I did. I was kind of in like a very serious phase of the podcast where I was talking about a lot of very serious things, being super open and vulnerable, which is good. Episode 13 was a change up, which was awesome as well. And just talking about the little ways in which God works. And yeah, it's, again, as I explained in the episode, just not ways in which we think about God working in the small, natural ways, but it's ways in which he works every day. And it's a great reminder to try and see him in that way. So if you haven't listened to that episode, I would definitely encourage you to go back and give it a listen. It was a great episode. God was definitely speaking things to me, and I know that he was speaking things to you guys as well. And again, that's the purpose of this podcast, to let God speak to us. I know it's me recording and me sharing my stories and what God's teaching me, but again, the vision and the heart behind this podcast is that through me sharing those things, that you would be encouraged and uplifted to go out and pursue your own journey with God, pursue what God has for you in those areas and other areas, and dive into the things that God is speaking to you through the podcast. That's the purpose and the goal. And again, I pray with every episode that that happens and that God speaks to you. Today, I want to talk about passion and desires. There's been a few things in the past week or so that have really brought up old passions and old desires. Well, I wouldn't say old, but it just reminded me of passions and desires that God has given me. And yeah, I want to talk about that today. I'm just going to pray and then we're going to get right into this. Father, again, we just thank you for another episode. Father, thank you that you continue to choose to use me in this way, God. You just continue to speak to your children through this, God. We are just so blessed that we have the opportunity to have relationship with you, God. And Father, that you desire a relationship with us, God. You want relationship with each and every one of us. Father, through this episode, would you just continue to speak to our hearts? God, would you show us who you've called us to be? Father, would you reveal the passions you have already placed inside of us, Father, and new passions that you are even stirring up inside of us. Father, would we just be open to your working and how you're speaking to us today? Father, would you just speak through me as I'm recording? In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I would say that there's a bunch of things that I am passionate about, definitely on different levels. I'm passionate about ultimate frisbee. It's a sport that I love. I love playing it. I love learning about it. It's a passion that I have. It's one of the ways in which I love spending my time. Like right now, I'm playing frisbee 3 nights a week, playing games 2 times a week and practicing once a week. And it takes up a lot of my time and it makes me extremely busy, but I just love it. And I'm super passionate about it. I'm passionate about basketball. I absolutely love basketball. I love playing it. Not as much anymore. I still love playing it, but I just don't get the opportunity as much. I love watching basketball, especially my team, which I'm super passionate about, the Golden State Warriors. I am passionate about that team. And those are definitely like little passions that I have. Would I say little? I don't know. They're definitely things I'm passionate about. But I can definitely see in my life that there are bigger passions that I have that I would kind of call God-given passions. And not saying that frisbee and basketball aren't God-given. Those are definitely passions that God has given me. But there's passions that just feel so much different. I don't know how to explain or describe it, but they're just things that get my heart going. A question that I love asking people is, what makes your heart come alive? What makes you come most alive? where do you feel most like you? Where do you feel most comfortable and just alive and just so energetic and passionate? What are those things? And I love Frisbee and basketball, but compared to some of the other passions that God has given me, which I'll go into, Frisbee and basketball don't even come close to those. One of my favorite TV shows is Ted Lasso. It's a show that I would recommend to absolutely anybody, regardless of what kind of movies and shows you're into. I feel like there's definitely something in there for everybody. It is more on the humor side. It's a humor TV show, and you kind of have to understand and be okay with British humor and British language to really admire the greatness of the show. But the first time that I was watching it, God really spoke to me through it. He really spoke to me through the character of Ted and just who he is as a person. I've started coaching little kid basketball, grade 1s and 2s, even some grade 3, 4s. And I have absolutely loved it. Going back to the question I asked at the start, what are the things that make you come most alive? Coaching is one of those things. Like, I love basketball and I love coaching it. But I think my favorite part about coaching and the idea of coaching is character building. And that is exactly what you see in Ted, in Ted Lasso. That's exactly what you see. That's who Ted is. He's not the most tactical coach who knows the game inside and out and can come up with an insane game plan that's going to take his team to the top. He doesn't even know soccer, which is what he's coaching on the show. He doesn't know soccer. But what makes him such a great coach is how well he's able to connect and build relationship with his team, with his players, with his staff, and just create an amazing team dynamic. That is what I love about Ted. And that is something that I get so passionate about, is helping somebody become the best version of themselves. I think I talked about this moment on a past episode. There was an Ask for Rain night, and Ask for Rain, I don't remember how long it is, but it's like a 48 hour, 72 hour, just straight time of worship, prayer in Regina. There was one year that our team was doing the midnight to 2 a.m. session. Crazy time to do it, but it was actually so awesome. And God really spoke to me during that time and really showed me the love and the passion that I have for seeing people be authentically themselves, for seeing people be the best version of themselves, for truly being themselves, not a held back version, but this is authentically me. That's what I want to see out of people. And at that Ask for Rain night, I saw that. From our community that was there, I really saw that. Kind of before this Ask for Rain night, we were doing some of our own worship and prayer nights, and I wasn't seeing a lot of fruit. Is that the right word? I don't know. But it seemed like people were being very reserved. I know people express their faith differently and express worship differently. I would say I'm more on the expressive side of worship. And I get that that's not some people's thing. That's just not who they are. But I wasn't seeing anything during these worship nights. I was kind of just seeing people just staying in their chair, staying where they are. Like, they're still sinning and still worshiping God, which is great. But I really wanted to see people be authentically themselves, and I wasn't seeing it during these worship nights. And And so we come to this Ask for Rain night, and I was in the back corner and I was just praying, God, I want to see these people be themselves. I want to see them be expressive in worship in whatever way that looks like to them. And during the Ask for Rain night, there was a prompt that came up, and the speaker asked people to come to the front and share what God was speaking to them, or something along those lines. But he asked people to come up and share. And every single person in our community went up and shared. And I was just in the back. I was so happy. Like, I was probably crying, good crying, because my heart was just so full. I was finally seeing these people be authentically themselves, not being scared to share their heart, share what God is teaching them. Because honestly, that's a big thing in our culture, is being scared to share. I know that that's a big thing for me, and something I still struggle with is being reserved and not sharing what God is doing, the good things and the bad things. But that's not the authentic me. The authentic me is somebody who's open and vulnerable and shares and is willing to do that first, to be an example and lead people into that. That's the authentic me. And so when I can see the authentic person in somebody, them being authentically themselves, that is one of the things that makes me so passionate in life, and is honestly a calling that I feel like God has given me. And watching Ted Lasso, that's just something that I saw. Like, Ted brings the best out of everybody. He's not the best coach, as I explained, but he is the best coach in terms of building relationship and getting the best out of somebody. And that is somebody that I desire to be, somebody who I believe God has called me to be. I want to walk with you, and I want to see you become your best self. I want to help you in any way to become your best self. I want to help you break down any barriers that are holding you up, that are stopping you from becoming your authentic self. Because that's been a big part of my story and my journey, is breaking down those barriers. And because that's something that God has done in me, it is something I'm so passionate about doing in others. Sorry, not doing in others, but helping others in. And that's something that I'm really realizing is, honestly, the places where we have grown the most and have really seen breakthrough in our lives are honestly kind of the areas where God puts a passion in us to see change. I think that the best way to walk somebody through an area is through experience, through me sharing my experience and being able to help them walk that out. But the only way to gain that experience is to go through it myself. And so I am so passionate about the things that God has taken me through, the journeys that God has taken me through. And that's one of the biggest ones, is that area of confidence and becoming the authentic me that God has called me to be. And I'm still a work in progress. I don't have it figured out. I am still not the most authentically myself all the time. There's still times where I'm very reserved and fall into some unhealthy habits. But I'm definitely a lot farther along than I used to be. And the biggest thing that has brought me through that journey is getting in community and being given a space to be myself. And I've seen the growth that that's had on me, and I want to do that for other people. That is one of my biggest passions and desires, is I want to see you be authentically yourself. And when I think about the things that I believe God has ahead for me, like down the line with careers and things like that. Of course, I don't know exactly what God's going to do, but just even with some of the passions and desires that he's given me for working in sports and working with athletes, a big part of it is I want to help athletes become themselves. Of course, I haven't played athletics at a super high level, and I don't fully understand the extent to what some athletes go through at the highest levels. But man, I know that it's tricky and that it's hard and that there's wrestles and battles going on all the time. And I want to be somebody that can help athletes walk through that. I want to be somebody that's just going to be there for athletes. Somebody who can just be a listening ear. Somebody who can be an encourager and being there for them all the time and helping them become their best selves. Of course, I'll be working physically with athletes and helping them rehab through injuries and strength and conditioning and whatnot. But I know that that's only a small portion of what athletes truly need. And I really want to help athletes become their best selves, even through podcasting and preaching, which is another huge desire that God has given me, and being in ministry. And again, ministry is so broad. We're working with athletes as ministry. But through this podcast, through what I preach, my goal isn't for me to share all my knowledge so that you can look up to me and be like, man, Andrew is so wise. Andrew's so gifted. Andrew's so great. My goal is that through me sharing, it's the vision of this podcast, through me sharing what I'm going through, what I'm learning, that you feel inspired, that you feel uplifted to go out and experience your own journey with God and journey with Him. That's the goal. I want to see you become your best self. I know this podcast isn't huge. And honestly, a lot of the people who listen to it, I know personally. And for every single one of you, I want to see you be your best self. And we're always going to be growing. This is an ongoing process. I'm never going to be my absolute best self because I can always be better. But I can continue to work towards that. Continue to work towards the man that God has called me to be. Go back and listen to the episode on sanctification. I don't remember what episode it was, but that's that process of sanctification. Becoming more and more like Jesus every day. Becoming more and more of that best self. And we're not going to become that perfect self that God created until we die and are raised with Christ and are fully sanctified. But on earth, we're called to work towards it. We're not going to get there, but we're called to work towards it and to continue to grow every single day. And so I want to encourage you in that. That's a huge passion of mine and what I want to see in you. I want to see you be your best self. I want to see you be authentically you. And I hope that I can be an encourager to you through that, through this podcast, through, if I know you personally, through interactions that I have with you. I want to see you become your best self. And honestly, a way to do that is through passions. What are you passionate about? And whatever that answer is, go out and authentically do that. And go out and be authentically you. If you're sitting in an area where you're not passionate and don't really enjoy where you're at in life, of course, I know there's seasons to life. It's hard to be authentically yourself and the true you if you're not in the places where you're super passionate and doing the things that you love that make your heart come alive. Again, as I said, I know that there's seasons for certain things. But we can always be walking in the things that we're passionate about, the things that make us come most alive. And those are things that we need to constantly come back to. I believe that those are things that connect us back to God. I know that those are things that connect me back to God. I could be going through a rough season, and then I can just see somebody that I know just be authentically themselves. And it just brings me back. Like an example that I have. Anytime I see my buddy Seth leading worship, when I can see him being authentically himself during a worship set, that brings me so much joy. Like, I love seeing that. I love seeing him be authentically himself up on stage. And honestly, as I've gotten to know people, I can kind of see that side of themselves. I can see when they're not that, and I can see when they are that. And when I can see that they are authentically themselves, that is something that makes me so excited. That makes me thank God. And so I guess I feel like this episode was all over the place. But I would say that my challenge and my encouragement through this episode is to dig into your passions. Dig into the things that make you come most alive and find a way to walk in those things. Of course, bring those things to God and ask him what that looks like. Because again, every season is different. I don't have an opportunity to coach kids basketball anymore. Our season has ended and I'm moving away and won't have a chance to do it in the way that I've done it these last 2 years. But I know that God has still given me the passion and desire to coach. And so I need to go to God and ask him what that looks like, because that is such a passion and desire and something that makes me come alive and something that brings me and connects me close to God. That's something that I need to ask God what that looks like in my life. And so I encourage you, ask God what it looks like to be passionate right now in your season. What are the things that make your heart come most alive? You may not even know those things. So I encourage you, start there. Ask God, what are the things that make my heart come most alive? Where do I feel most like myself? And then ask God how you can be walking in those things. Where is God asking you to walk in those things in this season? For me right now, I think a big thing is not neglecting relationships despite my busyness. Summer is very busy with work and sports and everything. But I really want to build a relationship and can continue to walk with people that I'm close to. And so a big challenge of mine right now is not neglecting those relationships and continuing to press into those relationships and build them. Even though I'm moving in 2 months, continue to build those relationships. That's where God is asking me to step out and use my passions and desires. Where is he asking you to use your passion and desires? That's what I want to leave you with today. I just want to thank you for listening. I am just so blessed that people get to listen to this, that I get to record this, that God just continues to use me in this way. It will forever be a blessing. And again, I just want to thank you for listening. Your support would be awesome if you could leave a rating and a review, a comment on the podcast. That just helps this grow. That'd be much appreciated if you could do that. If you know people that could benefit from this podcast, from this episode, it would be awesome if you could send it to them. Again, that just continues to grow this. And of course, I'm letting God do in the growing, and he's going to grow it in his time, but growth is much appreciated and would be awesome. To stay up to date with the show, give us a follow on Instagram at the Mountains and Valleys Podcast. That's where you'll catch all show updates, show clips, anything like that. And I'd love to hear from you guys about your passions, your desires, where God is asking you to use those passions and desires in this season. So again, you can reach out through Instagram. You can DM me there. You can find me in person and talk to me. I'd love to hear from you guys. And yeah, go out and use your passions and desires. God doesn't call you to hide them, to put them in a box and never use them again. He calls you to be a light and to use those passions and desires. And I just want to encourage you to go out and do it. I love you all, praying for you all, and we're going to catch you guys on the next episode.